Well, good morning and welcome to the weekend edition of the Morning Express. We're super elated to have you join us this weekend. It's a beautiful day, beautiful weather. Hopefully it doesn't switch and become, rainy in the course of the day. But if it does, it's expected. My name is Ike Chiku Jue. At least today I don't have to meet somebody. She's here with me, Jennifer Pius. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good and I'm great.
Like your hair.
Thank you. And
Won't you say you like my clothes?
I wanted to say that, but you don't have to drag it out of my mouth. You look good. I love
Thank
the
you.
material.
It's my signature. Looking good is my second name.
Yeah, and being Nigerian first, I like that.
Yes.
You look good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
He's promoting Nigeria. So do I. Even though I could argue with me about some things, but it's fine.
The hair is not Nigerian.
Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. But it's a lovely Saturday morning here, and we're happy to be back on the show, Morning Express, the weekend edition, to give you a glimpse of what happened within the week, and we know what really took place. Fubara is number one. The talk on nearly all the newspapers, and that's what we'll be looking at when we resume the paper review, when we capture what the newspapers are talking about, and that's just an angle. We'll also get to look at some other issues captured on the newspaper, but you have to stay with us, and when we return, our newspaper reviewer will join us, and then we get to talk about that. Stay with us.
Well, welcome back. Let's get to meet our reviewer for this morning. Our reviewer is a journalist and a publisher. You can also add that he's a public affairs analyst as well. It's comrade, as I'd like to call him, Udemeabasi Udofa. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome. Happy weekend.
Good morning and welcome.
Jennifer.
But I don't like to use comrade for you because it comes with a lot of
Activism.
So I'm trying to
still
be
an
careful.
activist.
I'm an activist all the time
Okay.
until we get the better society that we've been looking for.
Indeed.
A luta continua.
Yes, that's
Victoria.
as satire.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all right. Let's take solidarity today. But we will head to First Daily. And First Daily here talks about Fubara. In fact, a number of the headlines on the newspapers talk about Fubara's return. So First Daily says it here, Fubara back. Peace sealed in Rivers. Governor hails Tinubu's intervention, reconciles with Wike, pledges fresh start for Rivers. Not just there, we also have that captured on Tribune. Tribune brings a different angle. Tribune says no more war with Wike, Fubara declares. Thanks Tinubu for his fatherly disposition. Wow. And then there's also something else captured on The Nation. The Nation, still on Fubara, just at the top. The Nation says here, why I didn't challenge emergency rule. Fubara hails Tinubu's intervention as fatherly, decisive, commits to honor agreements, cordial relations with Assembly. I'd like to begin from commits to honor agreement, cordial relations with Assembly. Comrade, we heard of agreements before this whole war in Rivers began. And now we're talking of another form of agreement. Why don't we ever have agreements like this made public?
Well, because those agreements are never in the interest of the generality of the public. That's why politics cannot be deciphered from an outsider's perspective. There are always things that politicians do, which if you investigate it, if you try to investigate, you get to your own peril. And have you ever wondered why most political meetings are held in the nights while the rest of us are sleeping, or they are held outside the shores of the country? You see them jetting off to London, America, and all the other parts of the world to go and have 1 hour meetings. It's because most of the agreements are shrouded in secrecy, and when things are done in secret, it means that the intentions are not very genuine. But let me remark, Fubara has become the man of the moment, a symbol of democracy, because he's shown that he can learn, he can play, he can push his options on the table and play along. I am so gladdened that he did not become the activist that he wanted to make me to be today earlier
Okay.
on. You know, he had to give everything up because of the peace of the people. And you know, very fascinatingly, he didn't report immediately. He had to wait for one day, and we all waited with bated breath to say, is he not going to come?
He was
And
actually not in the country.
and a lot of people started fabricating stories and all of that. They wanted to bring Wike into play and all that. But I'm happy that all the chickens have come home to roost. And the peace, whatever it's worth, is back in River State.
My question will go back to the genesis of this whole thing. Agreement is agreement. The genesis of this whole thing. Can we now say?
Who said it?
Well,
Is it
it's
a
not, about,
maxim?
it's not about who said it, but I'm going somewhere.
Agreement must be honored.
Good. Now, agreement is agreement. Can we now say that saying will play so that peace returns eventually?
Well, I like to believe, you know, that those agreements, there have been agreement over the agreements. You know, but you recall that on this platform, I had said that whatever agreements were done behind should be honored so that there will be peace, and that there has to be the people's interest in the play. The people's interest in the play is for democracy to continue to advance. Whatever you're doing outside the public's eyes is not really relevant, except you are able to go back to what you agreed. I am not one of those people that believe that there are no godfathers, because no matter what you do, there will always be godfathers in Nigerian politics. For example, who was Fubara? It was somebody that propped him up, and he has to be able to do, as my people say, bono box somewhere. That is, you know, where you go to keep your hands. There has to be loyalty. Loyalty must be rewarded, you know. But that is not to say that you throw away the interests of the people, you cause a lot of problems, hamstring government so that government does not move. You know, like the case of River State, it was a perfidy of such. I mean, it was a betrayal of trust, because a House of Assembly was in place, the governor was in place, you know, and then some outside influences were saying, no, you have to come and settle me first. It was so obvious. And so the governor was going this way, the House of Assembly was going this way. The decisions of the court were not honored. So there was a lot of problems. So, but now, whatever agreements have been agreed upon, the question is, we cannot go back to saying we want to review those agreements because they didn't make a lot of sense. So go ahead, meet. The party should be able to meet each other halfway and go ahead maturely. And then that's how to bring peace back.
Now, in the course of the week, the PDP in Rivers, they have threatened Fubara from defecting. Whilst they were doing that, the APC were courting Fubara to look their way. Now, chances are that Fubara is probably politically confused at this juncture.
Weighing the options?
Yes. Do you see Fubara continuing with the PDP, or do you see the possibility of Fubara defecting?
As far as I'm concerned, the PDP needs to purge itself of all the people that are anti-party. As far as I'm concerned, Fubara owes Tinubu, who is the symbol of APC in this government. He owes him a lot of, will I say, he owes him some level of loyalty. Without him, he would have been out. The peace that would have engulfed River State would have fried a lot of people. But somehow, as one of the papers said, he was able to use his fatherly disposition to be able to put this. We remember I said that stakeholders in River State should be able to sit and talk. You know, I'm sure he was able to bring his diplomacy to bear, brought the two people together, and then. But the question you want to ask yourself is, why was all of this necessary? It's because the two parties, the Wike and the Fubara, because they represent political blocks, were not able to do what they were supposed to do before. They showed a lot of irresponsibility, and that's why the president had to come back. Somebody is always there to put things back together, And I think that because of that, Fubara owes the president a lot of.
I'd
So
like
you don't
to,
see him defected still?
I am thinking that Fubara will eventually defect, but it's not timeous now.
Okay.
Okay, there's an aspect I'd like to put to you directly.
Like the lawyers will say, you want to put it to me.
So now we know this issue was between the FCT minister, his predecessor, and the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Let me just ask you directly, between the two, who do you think has won now or has the upper hand?
Well, there was something that Yakubu Gowon said at the end of the war. He said, no
victor, no vanquish.
That's the language of politics. That's the language of administration. It is not about, there are some people that won the battle and there are some people that won the war. But the important thing is that there's peace. So let's march on.
Let's stick with peace.
I think that peace is better than war. Except that when the people are at grievance, when they train brickbats and all of that, the newspapers are busy trying to feed the news to the public. But then at the end of the day, let us move to developmental journalism.
Well, peace comes at a cost. Yeah. And the nation captures what Kwankwaso wants to bring peace. And the nation says here, 2027, my conditions for rejoining APC by Kwankwaso. The writer says, demand strong promises on what NNPP would get. Says he and his supporters got nothing after under Buhari. Kanu APC ready to welcome ex-governor. This is attributed to Scribe. This giving conditions for rejoining APC, is this necessary?
I don't think it should bother me, it should bother Nigerians. It goes to give light to my position that politicians don't even put the people at first. The import of their politics is how to gather power.
Well, he's captured his supporters.
You know, so it shows that Nigerian politics is still a long way coming, because we're not talking about ideals, we're not talking about positions, we're not talking about social development, we're talking about what we'll go home with. And when you talk about supporters, how many supporters does he have? So it's not that he came as a result of, is it NMPC? What's that name?
NNPP.
NNPP was birthed by ideals, birthed by certain things they want to do to the public. It was just pursuit of power. And now he's reconsidering joining APC. Why? Is it because he wants to do he wants to do something for society? No. He wants a piece of the national cake. That's what he's saying merely. So I don't think it should be my concern.
Well, are you in any way downplaying Kwankwaso's political capital? Are you saying Kwankwaso will not bring anything to bear joining the APC? Because don't forget.
No, the APC.
Well, I was thinking, because, I mean, the Kwankwasia movement is one of the political movements in the north.
I know.
They have a large followership in Kano, and they've spread their followership, you know, beyond Kano. The Kwankwasia movement, which of course, credit to Kwankwaso, is gathering people. He has empowered people. He has uplifted people. And so there's a following to the man. Are you saying that Kwankwaso will not bring anything politically to bear if he joins the APC?
No, he's going to be drowned in the leadership tussle of APC, because he will go there and say, I came with my supporters, you have to settle me first. What are the things? Put your options up. And the APC, the members will the people that have been there will say, no, you are just an interloper and all of that. The truth is that the Kwankwasia movement, as you dub it, is very important. But the truth is that they can only exert their influence well to the public if they remain in the opposition. There's no need to go and get swamped into the APC. The APC is already a big moving train, and they have their own disposition about certain things. So you don't have to be in APC before you.
Comrade, I was going to ask you: are you privy to the conversation that trended a while ago, perhaps some months ago, when rumors about the possible replacement of the vice president was in the air.
Okay.
And one prominent, I mean, among other names, you had a Yakubu Dogara, you had a Kwankwaso.
That's right.
And so you don't think that before 2027, the president may have the need, perhaps, to think in that direction and look at somebody who can, bring in political influence, political capital, as I'd like to put it on the table, for his 2027 second term. You don't suppose Kwankwaso can fit that mold, and that may be the reason for this negotiations.
Okay, now let me ask a question. Which political leader would like to have a vice president who is very powerful, who has political influence? It would definitely dwarf the influence of the president. Remember, it is the same presidency that the vice president occupies. So it's not something that you need somebody who will bring a lot of influence. There's going to be conflict. And Tinubu is a very experienced politician. Give the power, let the power base be at the head and not at the side. The vice president needs to be somebody who is well aware of the political permutations and all of that. You should be able to have some weight. But what is the essence of changing a team that is winning with another person? What is wrong with the present vice president who is giving the necessary support to the president? And it's also from a favored place in the north. Why would you say
Comrade,
that? Have
you heard of the Northern Front?
Those things are just.
Comrade, have you heard of the CPC bloc?
I know. Those ones are those.
Let me take your mind to yesterday's news, comrade.
Go ahead.
In case you're not aware, the CPC bloc, from the information that we heard yesterday, it looks as though the aggrieved part of the CPC bloc in the APC are not happy. And of the 12 million M bloc votes that we're told that the CPC bloc commands, they are now saying they may shift that to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You do not suppose the president needs someone who can divide that bloc and divide other votes from the north and give the president an advantage?
No, I think it's just permutation. You see, the as far as I'm concerned, the Atiku influence in Nigerian politics is waning. And whoever is behind him, they just go there because they want to cause some kind of discontentation in Nigerian politics. The truth about it is that our president knows that it is good to have a stable movement. He knows that he needs a deputy who can be in tune with him. I have seen powerful deputies who have not done well, in the presidency. You remember even Atiku.
Yeah.
Even Atiku was a problem to Obasanjo.
Yeah.
And Obasanjo had even sworn, he was making an elder's prophecy that he's waiting. So the truth about it is that if the president wants to win 2027, he knows well that he needs a stable presidency. It is the presidency that is going for election and not people that are coming to aid the presidency to go for an election. So I think the Atiku influence is waning in the north. And what we should, I know a lot of people are saying, no, this Shetima is too weak, but he represents an interest. And you don't need a vice president who is going to go and compete in terms of popularity with Tinubu. Tinubu is an experienced politician. He knows how to put his
numbers.
So he needs the numbers, but people are not going to vote for you.
Going into an election, you need the
numbers. I'm coming. People are not going to vote for you based on names. People are going to vote for you based on the fact that you have campaigned effectively and you have a better say on how the country will run. Remember what happened in 2023. All these things came into play, but Tinubu was able to do enough consultation and was able to wear people. He has the talent. He has the capacity to bring groups together at the final moment. So I don't think there's a threat. I don't think there's a threat. For people are beginning to feel that he needs to have a powerful deputy to succeed in the north. For me, as far as I'm concerned, that is not something that is very has a
Let's
strong
take what the
argument.
comrade says and head to the nation.
No, you have a right to the power.
Okay. But we'll leave you to it and watch it play out.
Let's watch it play out.
Still on the nation, this time around, a very sad incident. Lagos traders count losses from deadly blaze. It is not just on the nation. The Punch brings it to the front burner. The Punch says, Afri-land tower tragedy. Survivors tell horrific tales of Lagos high-rise inferno. Writer says, we got blinded by thick smoke, soaked clothes to breathe. Olumide, dead a day to birthday, buried 2 days later. This is a very sad thing, sincerely.
I like to speak about the inferno. We're having this building collapse as a result of maybe structural deficiencies and then fire outbreaks. It's very sad that such a tower would have been there without safety vehicles in place. I know that we can't say that our safety protocols would have stopped it, but somehow it would have remediated the damage. You understand? The inferno was as a result of certain failed mechanisms within that building. As far as I'm concerned, if the firefighters in the two, what is it, the New York 20,
The Twin Towers,
didn't
September 11.
yes, didn't do well. The carnage would have been worse.
Yeah.
So I am saying that the time has come for Nigerians or for the government to ensure that all these high rises, especially those ones in the Lagos Island and all of that, will be safety compliant.
Perhaps fortified with enough
Yes, with enough safety,
firefighting
equipment. And these are things that should be harmonized and done on a daily basis. There should be safety drills in all these offices. You know, a situation whereby people are just left to perish like that, you know, whereby people have to soak this in water and all of that, is something that I don't think I am very happy with.
There are speculations.
It shows that it is not yet uhuru in terms of our safety protocols. Good enough. The civilized societies are built based on safety protocols. You know, what's the point in having a beautiful building, a high-rise building, then the safety protocols are not in place? And it's not about having to leave it to chance, because safety means that you have to think that such things could happen.
Okay, but then there are speculations about the fire coming from an inverter. And these are people who are trying to make do, support themselves when it comes to electricity, alternative energy. But it looks like this is beginning to pose some form of threat. And we understand this is not the first situation.
There's been
several incidents of that nature. Aren't these just people who are consciously trying to find themselves alternative paths of life?
When we talk about safety protocols, it's not that you have to preclude certain things. You know, the fact that the inverter is not supposed to be, it's supposed to be a support base for an economy like Nigeria. It's not supposed to be the only source of electricity. And when you have a different form of electricity, it means that there are certain protocols that it's not supposed to be. Don't overload. I'm sure it was well. I am not sure, but I think it may have been as a result of overloading that inverter. You know,
not necessarily. Anything can happen.
You know, so the truth about it is that you have to be on both ends. The major source of power, the inverter. Try to make sure that they don't go out of their capacity.
Do we even have a major source of power?
That's another argument altogether.
While you giggle on her question, I would pose a different question.
Go ahead.
My question would be on our response to issues. Don't you think it's that time Nigeria begins to, as the world is evolving technologically,
That's right,
begins to advance with the way the world is? For example, They now fight fires with drones. This kind of high-rise buildings, you use drones to fight them.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, so don't you think it's high time Nigeria begins to invest in its emergency response services?
That's part of safety. You see, safety is a response-driven activity. You know, you have to anticipate that such things could happen. You have to have drills. But I'm sure they just put those things. You go to America, you see this guy, oh, fine building, this is that. And what do they call those people that manage those big estates? They do it because of the constitutional requirement. They are supposed to do it. But you need to do safety drills. You need to ensure that you have those kind of preparations to anticipate, assuming there's a, you see, every technologically driven society is a disaster waiting to happen, and so there should be response teams available. Like you have said, technology has become part of the safety protocol in the 21st century and beyond. So there should be drones, but unfortunately in Nigeria we just stay back and allow things to happen, and then at the end of the day we count the losses and then move forward. No, we have to understand that safety is a proactive activity, and you must be able to put it as part of the protocols of administration, of governance, of corporate governance. In Akwa Ibom State, the government has incorporated safety from the backwater to the front row of state policy. What we have here is that anything that is done in the government sector must pass through a safety drill. And that's why I am calling for the enactment of safety laws within the states to be able to take care of all of these disaster.
And as an addendum to what you've said, before Jennifer goes ahead with the next paper, I would also ask that perhaps we increase investment in the fire service. I can tell you this because, I mean, incidents of late, which one has been saying, speaks largely to emergency response time.
Right.
And when you engage them, they will tell you of their challenges. A lot of times their trucks are not in good shape. They don't have water. And the proximity, the proximity of a fire service station to where a fire is happening is very distant. So before they come, the fire would have had, caused a lot of damage. So as I said, as an addendum to what you have, recommended, it'll be nice to invest in the fire service to make sure that we have fire service stations, not far from people, close proximity. Yes, increase the presence
and
of
then
the
hospital facility should be there, ambulance services.
Beautiful.
And then the hospital facility should be there.
Yeah.
What happens in some of these oil companies, big banks operations, is that for you to establish that, it has to be within the axis where you have hospital facilities available, and then the trucks and all of that, the drones. So the question is, are we ready for a better society that we're looking at? Are we ready for the contemporary society? Because if people are not safe, if the families are not sure that they will receive their people back at the end of work, then what's the point in saying you want to go after work, you want to improve your workplace?
Let me add a question to the questions you've asked. I'm not asking that you answer it. It's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Are we even ready for technological advancement? Let's leave it there. Jennifer.
All right, we'll leave it there, and let's see if we're also ready for an educational turnaround on Punch. Punch comes with a punchy line here. Says, poor salaries, professors decry struggle with debts. Professors, these are not just intakes in the educational sector. These are professors, people who would have gone through different levels to get to that level of a professor. But here we talk of decry struggle with debts. Their pay, can't it cater for a number of activities or responsibilities?
Jennifer, you said they're paid.
Yeah.
The question is how much?
These are professors. We're
They're
talking
paid.
of
How much?
close to 600.
Okay.
No, unfortunately, we have a paradox, a situation whereby, excuse the phrase, political jobbers, political appointees will be the ones going away with the victory song, and the people that are in the development sectors are crying, struggling to meet up with the expenses. You know, I have said that the universities, it used to be the ivory tower. The tower is still there, but the
Ivory is
ivory has
gone.
been is gone. You see, the best way you can invest in a great future is to be able to invest largely into the development sectors. You know, it is inconceivable that in this economy, a professor will earn less than 1 million. You know that 1 million denominated in dollars is very poor. You know,
It's less than $1,000.
it's less than $1,000, and that's why you have the migration of teachers, many professors outside this country. And you see, when they get to places where their professions and
Value.
careers are valued, they do so well. They do so well. In Nigeria, I'm amazed that a third or a developing country, because we don't like the use of the word third country, a developing country like Nigeria will have people become professors without masters and PhDs. For example, Achebe, the late Tuna Achebe, taught in several American universities. Shoyinka taught English language to the English people.
Even
And,
literature.
literature, you know. So these people are they were not part of this system that we have in Nigeria, where you will have to go cap in hand to beg them to invest in education. In those places, they know that education is the key to a better future. You know, is a development sector, education, health, and even technology. Those are the cornerstone of the modern technology. But a situation whereby there's no money for research in the universities, we are not paying them very well. What do you think? It's very bad. That's why you see a lot of them feel that the ultimate for an academic is for him to japa, and which is wrong. And then we'll leave the dregs of the society in Nigeria, except for people like us who are saying, we die here, we stay here, we die here. So it's very wrong.
Is there any way, or perhaps as an advice, if you would offer, that the government can look into the welfare of eggheads, I'd like to call them, the professors, the academics? Is there any advice you'd like to give them? Because, I mean, this is like something we discuss all the time.
There should be a
lack
special
of investment in the education sector.
There should be a special fund to cater for the welfare of academics, and then you should fund research more. You have situations where you can't have innovation if the research engines of the institutions are left without funds. Education thrives very seriously on funds. And if the people that are running the system are not well paid, what do you expect? So there should be a special fund for the welfare of the academics in our universities, and also special fund for research. We're not having research and development in Nigeria. And you remember in those days, there used to be a relationship between the town and the gown. We used to have situations whereby our curriculum was reflective on the industry. There was a relationship between industry and the university. So the industries used to fund research in the universities. So there has to be a relationship between industry, the government, and the universities. But these days, things have become so bad that the industry people are complaining about paucity of funds. So the government has to come in to be able to inject funds into this sector. So
we're talking about the academics now, the professors. They're not well paid. Where do you think this review should go? A general review of wages for workers, or that we have perhaps a well-structured and better salary scale for professionals in different areas?
I was talking about a special fund for the academia in the universities. I don't want to get into the vortex of having to talk about civil servants. That is another form of advocacy. We are talking about funding research, funding the people that are behind this research, so that they will not be distracted. It is very inconceivable that a professor should earn 600,000. It's wrong. It's wrong. We should be able to take another look at these wages and their welfare. And then research. I talk about research. Research costs a lot of money, because it means you are taking away from your work.
My question had come from the place of doctors. The FCT doctors just called off their strike. And you've heard of doctors who are
That's another.
constantly
That's
talking
no.
about
Let not,
welfare.
that's another level of advocacy.
And that is why
I said no. I said the developmental areas are education, health, technology, agriculture. Those are special areas. Those are special areas that need a lot of funding, and we cannot take our focus away from that. So, but for the research institutions, for universities, which are essentially research institutions, there should be a lot of funds that are injected into that system, and it should take care of the welfare of the academics.
All right, let's now go to some other issues on Saturday Independent. Saturday Independent. This one is to the South. We just concluded a state of emergency in Rivers, and we're talking of another state of emergency. South highways. Nigerians urge federal government to declare state of emergency now. You can see the pictures on display on that newspaper, Saturday Independent. You see the bad roads, South highways. What do you make of South highways?
Well, they are dead traps as far as I'm concerned.
But here's where the money,
it's
the
not,
junk
it's
of
not,
the
it's
money
not
is.
everybody that can afford airfares. And when you don't have alternative transport routes, you find out that the pressure on the air transport is will be unwieldy, you know. So we've been having this talk of East-West Road for several decades.
Calabar too.
Calabar too, and all of that. And the truth is that you don't know the politics behind all of that. Is it that these people do not go through those roads? And they were saying that they're going to repair these roads in batches, and even the type of roads that were supposed to be. But the problem is that you hear of flag off ceremonies, commissionings, and all of that, certain parts of the road, and yet the road is still in a very parlous. Road is still in a very parlous state. We have a works minister who is very, very active, but for some time now, an engineer. For some time now, we've not really had a lot of action coming from that place. Maybe because the funds are declining or something. I think that government has to do another focus, because the citizens are like Oliver Twist. You repair this site, and we say no, we didn't bore. So now that funds have been freed, because the federal government talks about the essence of the removal of petrol subsidies, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Is to free up funds for development projects. I think that Calabar to Road, the East-West Road, is of essence, is of real essence, because it will boost the economy. And then not just this road. What about other roads, residual roads that are leading to the farmlands and all of that?
You have opened up a path that I'd like to walk through. You talked about gently. Thank you. I follow you, right? So you talked about the subsidy funds, right? The amount of monies that have been freed, and of course the increased allocations come in the way of governors. Once upon a time, we had governors who fixed federal roads and they got the money back. I know of a particular governor who happens to be the president. Hold on, I'm walking your path. I know of a particular governor who happens to be the president of the Senate now. He fixed roads, federal roads, and I'm sure you recall. And of course, he had left office when the federal government paid back the money.
That's right.
Can governors not help the federal government fix federal roads and then get their monies back?
Because it's not the federal government that uses those roads often.
Truth.
That's why I keep saying that governance is not new class physics. It's not something that you really have to think too much about. The truth is that if somebody has opened a path like that, Akpabio, the Senate president as governor of Akwa Ibom State did a lot of that, and that's why Akwa Ibom is now hailed as the state with the best roads in Nigeria. Other governors that followed him should have been able to do that, repair the federal roads, because the federal government is not the one that uses those roads. But you see, everybody takes money, plays the ostrich game, and then blames the federal government for it. You know, there has to be a collaborative effort between the state government and the federal government. You know, building of roads is not something that is it's
Should be left to the federal
it's
government alone.
alone. There should be a collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Works and then the state ministries of works and the state government to be able to do this in batches. There needs to be a certain plan that will accommodate all this interest, you know. But somehow, they keep on saying that government is a continuum. But after former Governor Fabio left office, there was no, you had situations whereby the NDDC will be having problems with the state government over roads and all of that. So we should eliminate those problems and ask the state governments to collaborate with the Federal Ministry of Works, which is an agency of the federal government.
They should hit the ground running. They should wet the ground.
And it's not something that will have to delay for a long time.
After all, Mr. President, I told them in one meeting that they should wet the ground, hit the ground running. I mean, not everything has to be the federal government. They get massive allocations now.
And then I also want to suggest that maybe we should go back to where that period where we have presidential liaison officers in the states who will monitor, who will bring these things to the knowledge of the federal government. But of course, when you also bring the presidential liaison officers, you could be talking about conflicts with the state governors. And but then it is going to be performance based. Whoever will become the presidential liaison officer would be somebody who is on ground to be able to say, yes, it's true, Your Excellency, the President of this nation, this is what we found on ground and this is what we should do. But this will be after consultation. It shouldn't be something that will bring conflicts.
Okay, let's still stick to Saturday Independent. This time around, we talk about a health condition, Ebola. Abuja cases confirmed negative, NCDC. How prompt action by FCT hospital averted potential outbreak activates public health measures. These are doctors who went on strike, and we're talking of public health officers trying to step in to ensure that there wasn't an outbreak. Now, is this a case of overexcitedness or a way of dragging government attention to issues of this nature?
Well, I am an apostle of public sanitation, you know, and enlightenment. There has to be community engagements, you know, for you to be able to fight, what do you call this? This contagion of epidemics, Ebola, AIDS, and all of that. Cholera. Cholera has been tackled. Who knows the one that will come next? So I am thinking that the governments will have to form vital links with the communities to be able to stamp these outbreaks. We cannot afford to have these Ebola outbreaks. We understand that Ebola came as a result of infection from animals and all of that. But
Bushmeat.
And then they will thrive on poor sanitary conditions. So each of the states agencies and the federal government, Federal Ministry of Environment, should try as much as possible to be able to rid the country of wastes and manage the waste in the country, and then align with the communities to be able to ensure that there are certain measures that will be put in place.
This particular story is reminiscent of Dr. Adededebo, who gave her life to stop Patrick Sawyer when he brought Ebola. She had to sacrifice and gave her life. Now, it will bring to question our state of proactiveness.
That's right.
Don't you think it's high time Nigeria begins to invest in proactive medical, should I say evolutions, increase border checks, make sure that before what you call it, epidemics, diseases, you know, once we hear about it, we're able to curb it. We're able to, you know, put a stop. Yeah, exactly.
The responsiveness we are talking about, and there are certain things that will be put in place. For example, the communities must also be aware.
Yes.
I need to emphasize the fact that most people will take these things very poorly because they have not been sensitized on the importance of avoiding contact with whatever vectors will be there. And then the environment cannot be neglected, you know, because people derive a lot from the environment. And then we should try as much as possible to ensure that publicity engines in the various communities will have to be put in place. Fortunately, ADBN is doing something that is very, very endearing to me. They go out, show example, go to community heads and all
With
of
the
that.
cleanups.
And then the people are happy to be part of that program. But the problem is that community alignment in terms of public sanitation in Nigeria is poor. You know, sometimes you just go to the markets and then say one or two things and then you don't go back. It's supposed to be an ongoing exercise of sensitization. You know, you go to the butcheries, you have a lot of inspection. It's a human's job that involves a lot of people. You know, there has to be inspection to make sure that the chickens that you are taking home and you are selling to the public have gone under a process of what do you
A
call
healthy
it?
and hygienic environment.
And a hygienic. If you go to the, have you been to the slaughter? The typical slaughter.
No, I don't want to go there.
So it's these are
Not a
things,
pleasant place to be.
These are things that must be cleaned up. So it's not a matter. It's not anticipated. It's not a matter of dressing the thing and say, oh, somebody gave her life and all of that. There are certain supportive activities that are supposed to be done so that these epidemics will be stemmed.
But we use the phrase, "This is not a kill African man."
But Africa is modernizing, and so we are losing some of the resistance that we used to have.
The shield.
The shield.
That we used to have from our forefathers.
So James, they kill Africa now.
Oh, true. Okay, let's go to Saturday Vanguard. Saturday Vanguard still talks on a medical issue. It says here, drug promotions flooding social media. How patients go blind, suffer stroke, experience kidney failure. The writer says, miracle promises are killers. Medical experts warn. Situation unethical, life-threatening. This is doctors. Bypassing pharmacies may cause mortality. Pharmacists raise alarm. We're monitoring online pharmacies for fake drugs. NAFDAC. Oh,
Jennifer, let me jump on this.
Take this one.
Let me jump on this. Comrade.
Yes, sir.
Do you think we have enough regulations? If you go to social media, you have persons who are advertising drugs, the one-size-fits-all kind of drugs. One medicine that can cure 1 million
In
ailments.
Lagos, we used to have one ointment that will cure 1,000 diseases.
You understand? I mean, look at it. Some of these medicines that have been advertised on social media, they get one brand influencer to channel that advert, and before you know it, people, because of their love for that influencer, they begin to buy it, and people are going blind. They're suffering from kidney diseases. You think we have enough regulation?
It's not a matter of regulation, Ike. It's a matter of knowing whether we have enough health personnel in the communities. There's what we call community pharmacists. How many of them do we have in our various communities? What is the access to the hospital facilities?
When I talked about regulation, a lot of drugs are out there. Some of them have not been certified. Some of them have not gone through clinical tests.
No, but you
to certify that they are consumable.
Yes, but you need to have what do you call it? You need to go do some clerking in the pharmacy stores and the hospitals.
Some of these places are not even, they don't even have some form of physical pharmacy. You just see an online ad, someone tells you the experience
they had. Call a number and they deliver the drug at your place.
I've always insisted that life is hard copy. Life is hard copy. There are certain things that you cannot do online. For example, you cannot make babies online. You know, you cannot, even salvation cannot be done online. There has to be a physical, that's what they call clerking. You need to go, stay before a medical personnel and say, this is my problem, this is my problem. But when you don't have, there's a disconnect. You don't have medical personnel advising, consulting in the communities. And so people have to rely online. And there's a tendency for Nigerians to look for one solution. So once you sit down you don't want to go to a medical center. We need to let people understand that it is important to go to medical center and talk to medical personnel. Like as I said, life is not hard copy. You need to go out, wake up and go and get advice. Because when I am talking to you, assuming you are a medical, there are certain by place that you know, and then you know.
You don't suppose.
The online communications that you are talking about, they don't take into account the fact that people's body systems are different.
I agree. But you don't suppose there's an issue of affordability accessibility. A lot of Nigerians complain. The high price of drugs in the market now. People are complaining. For example, people who suffer from asthma, they complain of how very expensive it is to buy inhalers.
Inhaler.
But there are
I'm
substitutes.
just talking
There are
about it.
substitutes.
People who suffer from ulcer, people who suffer from diabetes. And so sometimes you have people who come online and tell you we have alternatives to this. It's a traditional medicine. It's been proven. It's been that. And they use an influencer to advertise it. And there's a high level of believability with influencers. And before you know it, people begin to buy it. It takes me back to the issue of affordability and accessibility. Because you say Nigerians are not disposed to go into the medical centers. Is it not because the drugs are not affordable and they are not readily accessible?
What I want to tell you is that for every expensive drug, in terms of the branding and all of that, they are off
the counter.
No, not really off the counter. They are lower the brands that cost less. For example, in asthma, you have brands that are very expensive, that asthma drugs, brands that are very expensive,
and the affordable ones.
And the affordable ones. The problem is that you need to make an advocacy for people to leave their phones and go to hospital facilities and get checked. There is no easy way of having hospital facilities online. Go and see, because eventually after all of these drugs, you find out that they will still, when there is a crisis, you will still need to go to a hospital facility.
Okay,
so why don't you go to the hospital first and get checked properly?
We should also deal with the issue of regulation.
Okay, let's look at Weekend Trust. Weekend Trust this time around says, who succeeds Yakubu as INEC chair? Has he been removed?
No, it's we're talking about proactiveness. We're thinking that his time is as wound up. But I really would have I pinched myself if you didn't bring politics to end this. So the INEC chair is a very important position, and people have the impression that whoever will be the INEC chair will decide the course of the election. So whoever, it's at the president's disposition, is that it's within his purview of responsibility to appoint an INEC chairman.
I'd like to ask, every election cycle, do we have to have a new INEC chairman for every election cycle?
It is not, I think it's a constitutional provision that he must serve a certain tenure, in case, well, maybe sometimes the president or certain powers at the presidency will try to do some wikism, some woto. But the man was appointed by the previous administration. If he runs his term before 2020, all of this projection is for 2027. If we are going to have a fresh INEC chairman, fine. But if we are going to just before the election, but we've been having state INEC regs being posted, so it shouldn't be.
Should that position be tenured,
yes,
or should it be according to the civil service rule?
No, according to the civil rule means that it is tenured. It means that it should not be as a result of political tinkering and all of that. So it should be tenured. Okay. Just like you have certain boards in states and even federal government that will have.
Once you've reached 35
years
of service, 25 years of service. No,
these ones are political. They are appointed, but it's a tenured body, it's a tenured office. So after 5 years and it has a lapse,
you leave.
Right.
So I think that's what is happening in the INEC chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Comrade Udemeabasi Udofa.
No, Mr. is still the best title for gentlemen like us.
All right, thank you for coming on Morning Express and reviewing the papers with us.
Thank you very much. It's been a very nice experience.
Thank you.